maturities. Join me. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, welcome everyone. Thankfully it's March and we're in a new month. It's a good thing. All right, looks like our first item we have discussion and possible action on guaranteed maximum proposal from Lingo based on bids from subcontractors for proposed construction projects involving storm shelter in elementary and middle school classroom addition and gas connector between middle school and high school. So welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you. Well, we have good news to report. As you, I don't know if anybody's whispered in your all's ear or not yet, but we have good news to report. We bid the project last week. A great sub coverage. Very good participation. We had one or two areas where we just had one bidder, but most areas we had 4 or 5, maybe even 6 bidders on our project. So good sub interaction yields good prices. We are going to recommend on page 1 that we award the different bid packages to these contractors that are here. And you can kind of look through that, but if you go to the second page, when you tally up all the low bidders and the things that we buy direct and the general conditions, which are site supervision, that brings the base GMP to $4,192,011. And then we presented 7 alternates, and we reviewed those with Drew and believe that the recommendation, in which we can discuss each one, Jacob and Troy will help describe them, but we believe the recommended alternates are to remove and replace the middle school lockers at a price of $39,496, to use solid surface materials for the vanities instead of plastic laminate, so it'll be much more durable, for $6,637, to do the landscape and irrigation plantings around the shelter for $12,893, to re-roof the existing middle school at a price of $136,703 with a TPO roof that is so it'll be a total replacement. And then the standard, add the standard aluminum canopy, standard color is what the standard is, for $91,691. So we're bringing to today, which we can change yes or no on any alternates if you choose to do those. We're bringing to you today that we recommend a total GMP of $4,479,431. There were 2 alternates that we don't believe were the intention to accept, and that is an operable petition in classroom 103 at a price point of $25,713, and then to go with a custom color on the aluminum canopy. And so that's not an add 93, that would just replace the other one that was 91. So it's really about a $2,000 change to go to a custom color. And then on the next page.
Stan, can I stop you for a second?
Yes.
Can you talk them through the roofing alternate that we talked about and why we want to do that, why it's the right thing to do?
Yeah. So the existing roof was, when we cored the different roofs, we found there was some water underneath the roof membranes. And so part of the base bid is we added a little piece, the oldest piece of the roof that was holding water into the base bid, and we replaced that. And then during that discussion, it was to go further, was to take the middle school roof that appears to be original construction. The best we could tell, it's a built-up roof with very little insulation. And it was chose to just bid that as an alternate and see if we could get a good value while we're here to go ahead and have a whole new roof on the entire building. And that is the alternate that we took, or that we proposed to you. And it was originally bid as a built-up roof, and we changed that to a TPO roof. And so you have TPO on some of your roofs already, but it's a thin plastic sheet. I think it's 110 mil if I remember correctly, so it's very, as far as TPO, you can buy them at 40, 60, or 110 mil, so you're buying a very good roof. It's felt back, so it's a little more impact resistant. And you get the added benefit of some insulation while you're there, so.
Excellent. Does that include over the gymnasium?
Not the gymnasium.
Just the low roof, that would be over the classrooms and the common areas.
Okay.
And then the next couple of sheets of paper, and then I'll take any questions we want, or Jacob and Troy will help with those. Really, it's just a summary of the journey we've been on from January of last year to October to December to March. And if you go down to the middle of the second page of that series of papers, you'll see that actually on bid day, our prices came in at $4,192,011 compared to our estimate in December that we'd be at $4,271,000. And the really good news is that we were, quite honestly, I raised our hand publicly and privately, really thinking that construction inflation might catch us, because there's been a lot of construction inflation over the last couple of months. And we get, because of the good competitive bids we got, we actually were slightly under budget. And so to us, that's really a good win. So. And then the next sheet is Troy's executive summary. So I'll answer any construction questions, and I'll probably let Troy go through his kind of global budget. You have those.
So I have a question on the canopy. Will it be, now is this for the middle school to replace once that's expanded? Is that what the canopy is for?
No, the canopy is a link between right back here all the way out to the new addition.
Okay, great, thank you.
And that's gonna be, they need to take it down so that they can work all in there. But when they go back up, that's gonna be a 6-foot sidewalk, right?
Sidewalk. Yeah, I think
And then 8 feet on the canopy itself. So it'll give more rain protection and kids will be able to walk. Right now, if you try to walk to and from, one of them has to step off the sidewalk. So that's gonna be a nice addition for those kids.
How about maybe speak to the removal and replace of the lockers? So,
Okay, I'm gonna let Jacob jump into that. I know.
So that was bid as a potential price, essentially the same thing, where it was an alternate, wouldn't include the base bid. That would be a similar locker to what you see outside in these hallways, except it'll be 2-tier. So it'll have top and the bottom locker, 30 inches tall each, new metal lockers like that. Could be a custom purple color. We're not close to purple color, or they could be a tan that would match the lockers out here in the city.
We actually talked about black, I think,
Okay.
would be the.
Just a standard color, that's, you know, this price reflects
Standard colors, I guess, yeah.
And Trey, talk to them about your current lockers and why we think
Yeah,
there's a
so
need
some
to-
of the face actually on the lockers will come off. So if you pull the locker, the whole thing has come off. So then Greg or Jamie has to come in and refasten those. And then the lock piece is the part that you press up is metal instead of plastic anymore, so it's sharp. And that's on a number of those lockers. And then some of them don't close very good, and some of them don't close permanently at all. And so that's something that we asked when we started talking about that, was they're just old. They've run their course, and then I think it will just give kind of a facelift to the middle school as well, because it will not have the purple wood slant to it above the lockers. It will look like that. So all one color.
thank you.
You may go ahead and go.
Yeah.
So the sheet that kind of gives a summary, this is kind of the way we try to approach all of our projects, to give an entire global look at all expenses, as at least the ones that we are aware of when we go into these projects. So the top section really deals with soft costs, so architectural and engineering fees for the most part that are under our services. There's some additional engineering fees that are at the bottom I'll get to here in a moment. So there's a little bit of a similar to the way Stan approaches his. So there's a historical amount. So the original amount is the one that was from February 3rd of 2020, so a little over a year ago. And then current as of today is kind of the second column of numbers. And then we also try to track these throughout the course of the project to show dollars spent so that when we get to the end, we know if there are dollars available for other need or, just kind of where we're at on a monthly basis. So that's kind of the organization of the spreadsheet. When you get down into the second section is construction. This again kind of shows history. So the original kind of allocation of bond money shows up there at the top under the 2020. The original storm shelter construction, 3.65, plus kind of those initial numbers we looked at for the west enclosure. And then it shows that historical kind of big number that Stan mentioned for the preliminary estimate, the schematic design, and the design development. Those are kind of grayed out, so those are not included in the calculation. They're just there for reference. The numbers immediately below that, the 25,000 and the 93,000, those are the alternates not taken. So as Stan mentioned, so what I'm trying to get to on the second column for the construction base bid is the 4,192,011, which is the same number that Lingo's talked about for the GMP base bid. And then if you add in those alternates that I've mentioned there, that number is basically the exact same number that Lingo's been talking about, so the 4.479. The numbers down at the lower section, so these are just other owner costs that are always involved, well, not always, most of the time involved. We try to pare these down to make them specific to each project. So there are some additional surveying and geotechnical fees that we have talked about in the past. So those are kind of either placeholder numbers or actual fees. Some of them were a little higher originally than what they ended up coming in at. And so it also shows the amount spent to date. So for example, the survey originally estimated at $7,500. They did it for $6,500 and it's been paid in full. So that's kind of an example of that top line. The lines that are expressed in kind of that light orange color or so, those are kind of variable numbers. And so we don't have hard numbers. All the rest of these numbers that are on here are fixed numbers, either through construction or through fee proposals. The rest of those numbers, there's some variability in there that we'll have to continue to work through with Adam, for example, on some of the IT work and the audio video that we've been working with them on, but also on the FF&E when we start looking at furniture for the spaces. And we do have still some owner's contingency that's above and beyond any contingency that Lingo has in their number. But the 59,000 is kind of a remaining number once we pull out some of these others for placeholders. So all in all, this kind of shows a summary there at the bottom that we're right on where we think we need to be right now with the 5.19 total bond project cost. Any questions of me specifically on any of these items?
I want to make sure we're all on the same page. Those alternates are for you guys. If you want to pull one of those or all of those, we can. That's my recommendation. Now we're bringing it to you for your decision. Ultimately, that's a board decision.
From a roof standpoint, had we priced out a roof, what was it going to cost us to do that? I mean, that would be
Not at all.
not at all. I mean,
We didn't even know that was, or I didn't.
right.
know.
We found water under it,
Yeah.
I think you said, right?
And we felt like, and Stan felt like that they're already there doing it, that we'll get a better price. And so he talked to the guy. You want to explain that whole bid and rebid?
Yeah, we had, I think it was 4 roof bids. I think it was 4. The low bidder misunderstood the added area. And so on the low bidder on base bid was about $25,000 low. We talked to him, interviewed him, as we do with every low bidder, to make sure even though he knows that he left out about $25,000 of work, agreed to still honor his bid. And so that was, honorable of him, but I mean, that's the right choice when you're a subcontractor. You don't want to not honor your bid. And so he honored his bid. And then when we looked at the ad alternate, it originally was set up to be a replacement in kind, and then it changed to TPO. And so we were able to take his ad alternate and save about $10,000 also. So we do believe that we have a roofer who's honoring his original bid and adding scope. The thought would be is if you're uncomfortable with reducing your contingency, because if you look at the owner contingency line item, it is getting low. You could put that decision to re-roof off until next year. It would not be able to be the same price. We have to rebid it then. You may lose the value of that savings, but I mean, that is a decision you can make if you're uncomfortable with that. But you're gonna, I don't think you would buy it any cheaper than you would buy it today, so.
Stan, how long is that roof supposed to last?
That roof, you know, the existing roof has been on there since 70-something? Something like that, I guess?
No, yeah, wow, yeah.
88. But, you know, the roof, does it come with a 10-year warranty or 20-year warranty? I think it's a 10-year warranty, but I mean, a
You can buy them up
TPO,
if you need to, but.
a TPO roof that will last probably until you have an insurance claim in the future. In Oklahoma, quite honestly, most roofs wear out from an insurance claim than they do from wearing out most of the time. The nice thing about TPO roof is fairly easy to patch if you have some hail damage because it's a very spot, not a lot of seams. It's most roofs have seams every 3 feet, the old style roof. This is seams about 10 foot wide. So from that advantage, it's pretty durable. So, but it will last. I think it comes with a 10-year manufacturer's warranty. But it will last past that if we don't have a hailstorm. So.
And I'll add to the discussion about a little bit of the history maybe. The west connector, so the part that's outside sidewalk space now that we're enclosing as a part of the west connector, that roof is already there today. And so as we're doing this construction work, we're taking off that roof to put on a new roof to help meet the current insulation requirements for that space, because it's going to be a conditioned space in the future project. As you work in that new thickness of insulation, and again, as discussed, the built-up roof is an older style roof that's just not done as much these days, and so we had to go with a modified bit roof to kind of feather in basically to the existing roof with a thinner insulation, a little more uphill, if you will. And so that was part of what was set up for the original bid. Then they found, this mushy roof that was a lower roof that had water in it. We knew we needed to get that taken care of. But then the trade-off to be able to do the entire roof, to go with a less expensive TPO roof rather than the mod bit roof, which was more expensive, it allows you to do the entire roof up to the two-story building on the east side over there. So there was some history behind how the drawings were set up, because we hadn't intended to be able to do the entire roof. But when we started talking through the options of using TPO to replace the entire roof, then it looked like a good option to be able to save money off of that originally spec mod bit roof. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, that's not what it does.
Sounds like a good opportunity. I agree. I don't have a problem with the alternative. Do y'all have any questions on that? Thank you.
Move approval of item 3.
Second. Roll call vote.
Miller,
Yes.
Palmer,
Yes.
Pettit,
Yes.
Wassner.
Yes.
Drew, can I add one thing? Just a schedule update. We intend to start the spring break. And once we start, we will continue to occupy the area. We've reviewed it with administrators. We continue to occupy the area out by the new storm shelter. And then we'll work on the breezeway starting right after school. So,
Great. Fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Stan.
Thanks, Steve.
Exciting. Thank you.
Thanks, George.
Bye. All right, let's go to item number 4, consent agenda. Let's start with minutes. Does anyone have any changes, discussion, or action on the minutes from the last meeting? Jennifer.
Okay. On page 7 starts the summary for the activity fund. And you can see in February, we took in a little over $486,000, paid out $427,000, so our ending balance is $452,000. And the next, page 8 through 13, just a summary of all the separate sub-accounts. They're all in good standing. Anybody have any questions on those? Okay. We will move into page 14. So starting at the top, the general fund revenue. Taxes are, we made up some ground, so we're actually up 30,000 from where we were last year. So we got quite a bit of revenue in February. Interest is down 8,599, which we just know we're going to be down in interest this year. The next three together, reimbursement, other local, and general fund refund, together they are down 24,000. We are still waiting on the select fiscal therapy check, that's 7,500 of that. And then the other part of that being down is foundation grants. So even though it's flow through money, we show it as revenue. So last year that was 33,000. So we'll continue to stay down in those areas just for that reason, since they didn't do grants this year. Child nutrition is, we're still down in the local, 95,000. So that brings the district total collections down 98,000 from where we were last year. The next area, intermediate, looks better. County formula, we are up 7,200. Mortgage tax, we're up 18,000. So total, we are up 25,789 from where we were last year. You'll also notice we have already exceeded our appropriated amount for both of those items. The next area, state. Gross production is down 2,700. Motor vehicles up 120,000, which is just because that lawsuit is over. School land is up 16,000. Vehicle stamp is down $108. Foundation and incentive is down 322,000, and that is mostly due to the cut we took at the beginning of the year and midterm. It's not the full amount because they disperse it not equally each month. So we're just taking a different amount of hit every month when we get that payment in. Next, FBA, we're down $85.58. Alt Ed, we're down $568. Reading sufficiency, we're down $1,100. And then Family and Consumer Sciences is down $138 from where we were last year. So the total state is down $189,000. Federal collections, that top number is the same. It's been the same since August, when we did received all of our claim money from last year. MeChip is up 7,100, and that's about a month of claims for them, so we just received another month in. Child nutrition is up 216,000, so that's making up for the local that we're down. So the total federal is up 179,000, and that's mainly due to child nutrition. So the grand total revenue compared to last year, we're down 82,231 from where we were in February. Questions about any of that? Okay, page 16 starts the encumbrances for you to approve. I'll just go through a few of the higher amount ones, and if you have any questions, just stop me. PO 522, Best Buy, that's elementary Chromebooks. We actually had done 2 purchase orders at the end of last year to purchase those, and the companies did not fulfill the quotes. They couldn't get the laptops, so we had to not use those POs, do it out of new money because it's a different company with Best Buy, but get those Chromebooks that they needed. So that was 125 Chromebooks.
Jennifer, what was how was the price difference buying it from Best Buy versus the vendor that we initially quoted from?
I want to say it was around $100 more Chromebook. Adam, does that sound right?
Yeah. Their Chromebooks have just gone way up, and Adam could talk to you about it, but we had a great deal with this guy that we bought last summer, and we were really excited about it. I think it was 185 or something like that. 178. So we were excited about it. Then they kept putting us off, saying, "Oh, they'll be here, they'll be here." Then they just said, "We're not sending them."
Great. Oh, is this covered with grant money? Is that part of the
No.
CARES Act money? No, it's not part of that. Okay. We're just buying.
No, we use, so the OETT grant, again, we had issues, and so that company couldn't give us the price they had quoted. So we were able to get some, but not near as many as
with that.
originally. Yeah. that we thought. And then the Google licenses are also going up this month. So from here, for any of those that we purchase will be at an increase that we can pay.
Everybody's doing.
Yes. Everybody's doing Google.
Was that my favorite?
The next one, PO 523 for $1,375. That's stadium cleanup from football. We had a PO to SNU, but then when we received the invoice, it actually was from WFF, and we didn't know that changed. So the SNU PO will get closed out, and we'll use this one instead to pay that. The next two were for snow removal from the storm. And then the next page, PO 532, was just COGAT screening forms that they needed at the elementary. And 533 is to repair the concrete we're having to bust up at baseball to fix the leak. So that
In our
is
new
not the leak
construction,
repair,
right?
that's just the concrete.
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, it's not on
Got
the
it.
inside, it's on the outside, but the pipe leading to the restrooms, it was only buried about a foot deep, and it was cold enough that it froze all the way down to that. So it broke, so we had to let it thaw, then we had to figure out where it was, and then it's been a process. Greg's worked his tail off on that. He was out there busting concrete and digging trenches today. So,
Wow. We're kind of lucky that was it, right? Yeah.
well,
For
we had a
water
couple of
damage?
little things. What's the locker room here?
Oh, yeah.
And there was one other little, it was out at the field house. It was just something popped off. Didn't cost anything to repair it.
Yeah.
So we actually came out of that in really good shape compared to, Putnam City had 10 schools they had to shut down, like didn't have school that Monday. And 2 of them, they think maybe they're not gonna have school the rest of the year. So we're in pretty good shape.
That's terrible. Terrible.
Okay. Any questions about any of the other encumbrances?
I was just, a real quick question, Ruben, was that across all grades, those Chromebooks? Or were you specifically hitting a certain class?
Yeah, so we're working top down. A big reason is testing coming up, and so we're about to have all our kids testing, and so there's a big need there. But then also just trying to gear up for middle school, and just so when we get more in, we start in 5th grade and then work our way down. But we've kind of kept it balanced too. So we started off the year with 1 cart per grade level for 5th, 4th, 3rd, 2nd. Then we got another round. Went back up to 5th, 4th, 3rd, 2nd, and so this kind of the 3rd round trying to come back through. And then I think we're actually pretty close to having enough where we can get 1-to-1, because right now even still they're sharing and
That was my
having
question,
to
they
go
1-to-1 in 5th and 4th grade?
Getting there.
Yeah.
We're close. And actually, so with the purchase that we just talked about, that actually does get 5th grade 1-to-1, and I believe 4th grade. We do have some missing out of those carts, so give or take some, but that purchase we just discussed will actually get us 1-to-1 in 5th grade, I believe 4th grade, so we just have a few more to go in 3rd grade, 2nd grade. So.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's okay. Moving on to page 18, function summary for the general fund. So if you add the encumbered and spent, we are at 84.26% of our appropriated amount. Last year we were at 86.72, so we're 2.46% less in expenditures than we were last year. Page 19 is the function summary for the building fund. There's been no activity, so it's the same as last month. The balance is still $81,166.76. Next page is the function summary for the bond fund. So same, no activity since last month. The balance is $153,678.72. And that does include part of that $295,000 that first little payout of the bond money that we received. But now we've moved everything associated with the bond to pay with the money at Bank First. So this will stay intact, hopefully, unless we have to dip into it at the end. Page 21 is the function summary for the sinking fund. At the time I ran the report, it was the same, the 607, but Delina actually deposited on Friday afternoon $79,000 in tax money, so we're now at $687,354. And that is it. Any questions?
Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you. Move approval item 4A through C. Roll call vote.
Miller,
Yes.
Palmer,
Yes.
Pettit,
Yes.
Walstone.
Yes.
All right, item number 5, discussion of the use of the decision matrix used to determine in-person, virtual, or AV school formats. Drew?
Well, first thing I'd like to say is how much I appreciate everything that Jim Drummond has done. He spends a lot of his morning on Wednesday putting all this together for us. And, you know, he and Ms. Tackett put all that together over the break for us. And it has performed beautifully. What they put together was exactly got us in school pretty quickly. And here we are in a position where I see no reason why we wouldn't be in school the rest of the year, just like we are. I would be very surprised. So we put this on here for just one reason. Do we need to continue to do this? Do we need to continue to run these numbers have Jim, when I say we, Jim run these numbers every week and send them, or do we just need to keep an eye on them, and if, you know, numbers go up in any way, we do something. We will do whatever is your pleasure. You just tell me.
I think if it is a significant workload for Mr. Drummond, and we know that, I mean, I think you can get a good sense where cases are, we're gonna know, then we probably don't need to continue to use it.
It
It will become evident if a bunch of people start being out of school and you can't have school.
It's gonna be our school numbers, which is probably the easiest, I would think, the easiest part.
It is easy. We see those, because we still run an internal sheet that I send you guys, and I actually send out to the public whenever I send that out, that shows those. Right now, our numbers are all zeroed out.
Right.
There's virtually no sickness.
I think until we see that ticking up, and or the county go back to red, then okay, we need to calculate our numbers, or orange too, whatever.
If we see one of those 4 indicators go back up, then we would want to run the numbers, and we would do that, but.
Let's see, we continue to do it.
Yeah. I would like to see the numbers, just the school numbers, if there's a way we could put those on the website, so that you don't have to send out a letter to parents, but if parents
Just
wanted
posted.
to, yeah. If they
So
wanted to
you
look
can do
up.
that, right? Just,
We can do that.
is that document shared with you?
Yes.
So just put that out every Wednesday, talk to Tara about when she wants to update it, whatever's easy. Right now, we've been doing it Wednesday, so we might as well stick with that.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. And I think that way parents can, if they have questions about what our numbers are, they can just look it up. Yeah.
Maybe a paragraph, as we post that, an opening paragraph that kind of explains that we're not using the matrix necessarily currently.
Good idea, happy to do it.
Yeah.
Right, there's no,
No action on that. No, all right, no action. Okay, let's move on to item number 6, discussion of virtual school options for the 21-22 school year.
okay, so I'm gonna send 3 your way. Kent, would you put one down there for Courtney in case she comes? And you guys all have one of those. So, Ken called me and asked me about, what are you thinking? What are, just give me a 30,000 foot view, and I thought, it's a great idea. You guys really don't know what I'm thinking. I've got a lot better idea what I was thinking than you. So I think it's a good thing. Now, I want to preface what I'm going to tell you with, this is as of March 1st. As things change, things may change. Some things I don't see changing, others might. So, but I'll get into that. So the goal of this is just to have you guys, let you guys know what we're thinking, what the administration team. So virtual school for the following year, for next year. What I don't want is for our teachers to be in the position we put them in this year. So we asked them to do 2 jobs for 1 job. They didn't ask for any more money. I can tell you that there's a lot of school districts that have gone through that whole negotiation thing because of this. Our teachers have never made that an issue. They just stood up and did what was right for our kids. I don't want to put them in that spot. That's my commitment, to make sure that we don't put them in that spot. So teachers did what we needed to do, and essentially 2 jobs, talked about all of that. And what I want and what I believe is well within our ability is to have school 5 days a week, just like normal. Now, when I say just like normal, there's probably going to be some stuff like mask. I don't know whether we'll be wearing masks then, but I wouldn't rule it out. If somebody were to ask me, mask yes, mask no, I'd say, yeah, we're going to be wearing masks. But I would love it if we didn't. But I can tell you that we are until we aren't. So I put down 3 options. These are just 3 options that the administrators and I talked about. That doesn't mean they're the only 3 options. You guys may have some other ideas, or there may be some other options that develop over time. So the first one would be to hire virtual teachers. So we would have, however many kids that want to be virtual at the elementary and the middle and the high school. We decide how many staff members how many kids would go to how many staff members. There are some certification issues. In certification for an elementary teacher is 1st through 5th. For an early childhood teacher is pre-K through 3rd. So they don't, and then some of our teachers are dual certified. So that's a little bit of a challenge. It gets to be a great big challenge in middle school and high school, because every one of those subject areas are a certification. And so we have some hoops to jump through there if we wanted to do virtual school. Option B is to offer to pay our teachers, only the teachers who want to do it, on a per student basis. Might be challenging to find teachers that want to do virtual school with their full schedule. They did it this year, but it's been tough for them. It's been stressful. We'd have to negotiate that price with the teachers, and it's not as easy as just a set number for a kid, because you've got high school and middle school, you're talking about per subject area, and then in elementary, you're talking about somebody who we're not going to have 40 first graders, so a teacher in elementary might be teaching 2 or 3 grade levels. That's a lot of lesson plans, a lot of work. So all things we can work through and talk about if those are options you guys like. Option C is make all of our virtual students literally the online program that Edmentum offers, Edgenuity offers something similar, probably some other companies offer the same thing, and that is you basically give them the money that you're getting from the state. Isn't it about $3,500, Kent?
I believe it.
Yeah, it's pretty much a flow through for us, and then they educate the kid. It's basically like they're a Bethany kid. They get to do our athletics or any kind of thing, but everything else is running through somebody else. We have no control over that. So that's that has some potential for problems, because right now, as of today, our virtual student and an in-person student are paid at the same rate. So we get the same amount of money for one as the other. There are bills in the legislature right now to change that. If that changed, then it'd change this whole thing. So here's my recommendation. This is what I'm telling you that I think that we should do. I and the administrators. Talk to Andy, talk to Darrell Glover, and we do not have to provide virtual school. It is not a requirement. So what I think we should do is not offer virtual school except with some very specific caveats. And so if somebody's IEP requires it, we do it. If somebody's medically can't get to school, or there's some kind of problem like that, we do it. If it's a disciplinary action, we've had kids in the past where they could not behave and were disruptive to the environment, and we didn't have anything to do. Now, if we want, we can put them at home with a computer and have them on virtual school and not disrupt our environment. So, as we've found out through this whole pandemic, kids want to be here at school. And if they're set up, if they see that their option is be at home by themselves, come here and behave, more likely they'll do the right thing. So I think this is the main point. We're on the rationale now. So if we bring a kid to Bethany Elementary, Middle, High School, I can guarantee that parent and that kid a really good education. We've got great teachers, great administrators, great support staff. But if we have that kid at home on virtual school, there are lots and lots of variables. Some kids get more support from their parents than others, as far as a parent of a middle school, high school kid may have to go to work, and they just leave them there to do their work, as opposed to somebody else. There may be connectivity problems. It may be any number. Maybe they just don't understand the technology or the way to interact with what we're doing. There's a lot of variables that I can't control, that we can't control. I don't want to put the Bethany Public Schools name on something that's an inferior product. You've heard me say it all this year. I do not like virtual school. Our parents don't like virtual school. There are some, that it's worked out for them. But I think we need to tell our parents that we're going to be an in-person school. That's what I believe. I think that I think we can provide the education that I know you guys want. There's a bill in the state to lower I told you about the amount that we get for a virtual student, or anybody does. There's some shell bills, and I'm sure Dr. Schellenberg talked to you many times about what shell bills are. But they're basically hollow bills with no language in them, so that you have to turn in your bills on a certain date. They turn these shell bills in, and then they're allowed to fill them out, because it's like the same as changing the language, so they can put whatever they want in there. So there are shell bills about virtual school too. There's a funding formula bill that's probably going to pass that we don't even know we know the main part of that's going to be not being able to use a 3-year high, that we'll use 1 year. We can live through that because we're in control of how many kids we enroll here. There's an open transfer bill that could have significant impact here. And so we just got to wait and see what that looks like. For all those reasons, I can tell you I'm not ready to say, let's go do this. What I do think, I'm not ready to change our policy or anything, but I do think I want you guys to talk about it. Both sides, whatever you want to do, we will do. my recommendation is that we don't have virtual school except in very specific circumstances. Ken also asked me about, we'll go to that in just a minute. We'll let you talk about that in just a minute. Ken asked me about the ESSER funding and what we were going to do with that money. So I wanted to kind of, you've heard this information, but I want to bring it back to the forefront. So Bethany Public School received $465,000 less in state aid than we did a year ago. $465,000. Then at midterm, we lost another $315,000. That's a total of $780,000. First round ESSER money, we got $200,000. Second round, we got $892,000. So the total on that is $1,092,000. So after you subtract off what we've already lost, we're only up $312,000. So what? And then we've spent $40,000 on COVID supplies and stuff, and that's just since July 1st. So what I would say, there are some things on the next page that I have on my radar, but I don't want to commit to doing anything until we get towards the end of the year, you know, when we do the spend down money, because there may be some things come up that we have to do as opposed to want to do. One thing that I'm pretty intrigued about says possible expenditures on the last page. More public schools put in this ionization system. And I talked to the Moore superintendent the other day, and he's been very impressed. He thinks it's a good product. It basically, he said that it attacks the germs and the mold that's in the air and neutralizes it. So we're going to have the guy that is the rep for this come out to here on Wednesday and do a demo. So I'll know a little bit more about it. I think roughly to do our whole district, it cost $100,000 to $150,000. But there's been no quote. We will get a quote eventually. Then I'll come back to you and say, I think we should, or I think we shouldn't. That's about half. If it were $150,000, that's about half of the money that we have left. Now, remember, we've got a healthy carryover, so we're okay if we need to invest someplace. But I want to be conservative where we need to be. I talked to Ruben today, we need 60 Chromebooks to get to 1-to-1 in grades 3 through 5. That is our goal. It would take 100 Chromebooks to get 1-to-1 all the way down to second grade. And I think that towards the end of the year, when we get to spend down money, that we will probably look to buy some more Chromebooks. I think that'll be the plan. So this 14-passenger bus, Rocky said it was the ice cream bus, I think is what he called it.
Drew, real quick, we're actually going down those. You said we will have to buy more textbooks. Did you address that?
Yeah, so we've got, we have not purchased textbooks in this district except for maybe there's been one or two that was torn up or something, but we haven't wholesale bought textbooks since I've been here. And I don't know how many years before. Ruben has done a great job for us. They actually created most of what they use for curriculum, and they don't require textbooks, so we don't buy elementary textbooks. So every year, as you guys probably know or remember, there's a textbook adoption for a certain, like, social studies or math or whatever, and so then teachers look and say, well, we haven't had a math, because it's 7 years between by the time you buy your math textbook and the next time you get an opportunity to buy a math textbook. So I know that they're going to need some at the high school. I know they're going to need some at the middle school. We get a little bit of textbook money. I think it's about $100,000. It was between 70 and 100, you know, off the top of your head.
It's on that.
86,000.
Yeah.
That was after the walkout
Yeah, they cut it out. Last year was the first year they gave it back.
Yeah.
They cut it out and then they started
It's
giving it back.
86, I think.
So,
Science this year.
so it's science?
Yes.
But that doesn't mean we can only buy science, it just means kind of, that's the year, this is the year for science. So, Mark, you told me that there was something else. that you
Yeah.
wanted.
It's 14 years. I mean, honestly, like, we've missed 2 cycles of science, so like Drew said, it's every 7 years.
Jeez.
We
Yeah.
got 14-year-old science books.
So what you're saying here, Drew, on your bullet point, basically is not just replace 3 or 4 books of each thing. We're saying full adoptions. of
That's right.
things. Okay.
That's correct. So we would have to do full adoption at the high school, full adoption at the middle school, and that will be expensive. That will be considerably more than our 85,000. But we've got some money here, and we need to do that. I mean, 14 years old, that's
Yeah,
older than I thought, so,
history.
yeah.
Yeah, upgrade,
So,
refresh.
the 14-passenger bus that we purchased is very, very popular. Like, it goes out every day. That's the first person, like, we could take a whole basketball team. So like, if it's available, Quinn will take it to Shawnee Thursday. The advantage in that is you don't have to have a CDL. So Quinn doesn't have a CDL, so Quinn can drive his own kids down there. I would like to buy another one. We got that one about 3 years old. It was used and got a good deal on it. Don't know if one will be available, but if there is, we'll be talking about that in the spring. That's just something that is on the radar. I think that last year they didn't, there was no penalty for fund balance. You could have any amount you wanted. They're talking about doing that again this year. It's in that funding bill. I think the funding bill is going to pass. But even if it doesn't, you get 2 years. The first year is basically a warning year. And we didn't go over last year. So we're good. So what I'm telling you is if we don't have some place to spend the money that we feel like we need to do that, I say let's hold on to it until we need to do that. There's plenty of places to spend money. Okay, so what questions do you have on both of those items? Let's take, if you don't mind, let's take the virtual school first. I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Not all at once. One at a time. We're not voting on anything tonight, guys. We're just having a conversation. This was,
Ken asked you, but I had been thinking of it too, because I know you guys were kind of exploring before all this hit. I'm sure it's changed your mind.
it has significantly changed my mind.
I know it's changed my mind, but, I could see, like you said, there could be other options. I mean, could more TAs help take care of teachers handling more virtual students or things like that? But
well,
I mean, I think next year, most people are going to want to be here in person. And the ones that aren't, I don't know. I'm kind of,
There are other options.
that's my thing. There's other options. And allow us to do our quality education here.
Yep.
it is. It's, to answer your question about the TAs, we can do that, yeah. Then you don't have the quality teacher that we hired in front of the kids. So, do I want to do that? No.
Helping,
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
That way they can delegate things so that I can be in front of the students.
Yeah, I get it. It's just, I want our teachers that, we have done a marvelous job of hiring staff. And our kids get great teaching, pre-K to 12. So, and we're in control of that when they're here. But we're not at home.
Yeah, I think we need to be back full-time. I think it's too hard to do both.
teach virtually and in person. And they did, you know, our teachers that are here, they didn't sign up to be virtual teachers, and our parents didn't sign up to be virtual, you know, learners.
Teachers, exactly.
And virtual teachers,
Yeah.
and it's stressful, so I think, I say, you know, there are other things you can pursue outside of BPS if you want virtual, and we're going back to what we do best.
I agree. I think we should go for what we are here for and what
Yep.
everybody signed up for.
Yep.
To be here full-time.
Yeah.
Other than for, you know, these
Exceptions.
are
Sure.
exceptions of, you know, but
I did have that same question though, because we had talked about, this time last year, I think at least, we were talking about some kind of hybrid model in the
Oh,
secondary.
I
Only
was
in the
very
secondary.
excited about it.
Yeah.
because
You were.
I thought it was the kind of the thing that, well, it's what Daryl said to a lot of us, is it's the thing that everybody's gonna have to have one of these. Everybody needs to have virtual school. Well, we got baptized with it and we found out that it's not quite as, you know, if somebody is really good and it works for that kid and that family, I'm not being negative about it for those people. It's just not our wheelhouse at Bethany schools. Our teachers have done a magnificent job, and I commend them for that work. Now let's get back to the work that we know.
Agreed. Absolutely.
If you have any other thoughts, I will keep you guys updated on all this through the Monday morning memo thing. But if you have any thoughts about anything else that you, and we can talk about it now, but anything with expenditures or anything, always, you know, we're open to anything.
The one thing I would say, I mean, I know we listed these as option A, B, and C. The one thing I would say that has been learned over this year was with every school is what works and what doesn't work. There's a tremendous amount of implementations out there with virtual schools, using your own teachers, using software companies, providing intervention days. There are models that are working with huge success very close to Bethany, okay? And so before we would just say, hey, we don't want to do this, I think you would want to take a step back and say, hey, at least here's some of those different ones. Some of those different implementations, visit with some administrators. I'm happy to provide you some names of people that work with me, but there's other companies out there as well. So, I mean, your Edgenuity rep could share with you a successful implementation. The reason I say that is I just think for us at Bethany, we're a little bit different because from the transfer standpoint, if you don't want to come here because you want a virtual option, then go find another one, and we got someone to fill the back door. We're a little bit different. There are schools out there that don't have that luxury right now, and they're trying to save dollars, you know, what Jennifer gets up here and talks about. And so they're offering different things. And so I would just simply say, this is a great starting point. Thanks for putting this together for us, Drew. I think there's just some things you'd want to take a look at possibly to say, hey, that might work for us.
Are you saying to offer a virtual option then?
To offer a virtual option,
You
possibly.
like that idea?
Well, no, it's not that I'm trying to make us or say, hey, we have to have a virtual option, but I think there are implementations where some of our teachers could be used for different things, much like what Les was saying, the TA. I mean, again, if you're saying we hire this one teacher and that's the only thing we want to do, I mean, then that's what we would offer. But I just think that there's a lot of things to look at because there's been a lot of implementations that have been successful, but I think administrators will tell you have been successful this year.
Well, I think you addressed it, Ken, when you said that we are different and we do have options. If people
Well,
don't like what we have, they can go to
other
their
than
home district.
those 4 points of the unknown legislators act,
Sure.
check your perspective real quick
Yeah.
with some of the versions I see floating out there. That we've got to keep an eye on that because we may come back that we'd be in the same boat as some of those other ones where we would need to to keep our funding moving. But as it stands right now, we don't have that problem, but it could change.
Yeah, that's a good point. We do need to keep an eye on that for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, these are, I mean, this is a great starting point. I look forward to, reading to it a little bit more. And I mean, it's a great starting point. Great to see the numbers, kind of see where we're at. I think there's a lot of legislation out there. There's federal legislation that's in there right now that could mean tremendous. I mean, there's a lot out there. I think there's going to be more. The good news for you guys over there, there's going to be more money than there's ever been for schools these days. With what's taking place in the administration that's in. It's just what it is.
Well, if you're going to offer a virtual option, then you're going to have to pay more dollars for somebody to oversee that. I would think, or you're just saying that would be an additional duty for the teachers?
No, I'm not. I am not in favor of additional duties for the teachers. Absolutely not. I would think that if we are going to offer some type of virtual option, that we would have dedicated folks. That would be my.
Okay.
I mean, that we.
But we'd be allocating salary, and we would be hiring additional teachers in order to maintain virtual school.
Yeah, most likely so. Yeah.
And that, yeah.
But then that's that means you take a look at the entire business model that we've got going on here and saying, what do we need to offer? What do we not need to offer? Where can we save some salary? I mean, those are just, that's a simple thing you would do at the Wallstead House in the budget that we do.
Yeah.
So
Well, we're still, 8 weeks from the end of the session? No? No, we're 12 weeks from the end of the Oklahoma session, or we're going to know pretty quickly. We're going to know, usually it ends around Memorial Day.
Yeah.
We're going to know some things there, and we will, but I think it's good to give the expectation of what we're really thinking for next year now. I mean, sounds like, for the most part, we're thinking 5 days.
Definitely.
No virtual. Unless we need to rethink it.
But unless there becomes a need and we have funding.
An overwhelming need, yeah.
Yeah, I think any way it's going to take funding to be able to offer it.
Yes.
In our current funding state, I don't say I'll be good, but do it properly.
Right. Definitely more personnel and all of that.
Drew, thank you for putting us
You're
together.
welcome.
thank you.
Good information. Thank you. All right, let's move on to item number 7, staff reports.
First one being special services, Mr. Flinton, or Dr. Flinton. Tell me, can you talk a little bit about the extended school year? I was on a national webinar today where they were talking about different models of extended school year. I was kind of curious what your thoughts are. What I see where we're looking at putting something together. Would that be more of a, if a student wanted to sign up, a voluntary basis, or would we be requiring students? Can you tell me about that?
So ESY historically has been for special education students. So these are students that we as a team, their parents, teachers, we've identified prior to summer that they're more than likely going to need that extended support during the summer. And so last year, when all of this occurred, this was a virtual setup. So those students that we had already identified prior to summer that needed that additional support, we had teachers that were Zooming with them throughout the week and providing additional activities and support for them. So what I'm speaking to directly on my report is special education students, ESY, and it'll be, this year we're looking at, depending, again, we've got a lot of construction and those things that are going to be occurring this summer, but we do want to have students on site. Again, we will continue to implement all of those protocols that we have in place currently to mitigate any spread of COVID. But again, that's specifically for special education students.
Let me
Thank you.
give you one quick thing on that. So ESY is literally a checkbox on an IEP, individual education plan, which is special ed. So if that team checks that box, it doesn't matter what Matthew says, or Drew says, or you guys say, that's federal law. That means we have to provide extended school year services for that child now. And the IEP can determine whether that's 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, or however. So I don't know how many we've had in the past. How many we had last year? You know? I won't put you on the spot, sorry.
I don't know that.
But anyway, that's where that comes from.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that is an absolutely special ed.
I did not realize that. I mean, I should have, knowing that it's coming out of special services right here. So,
You want to speak to?
I think they're, I think they got it. I think they just didn't understand that it was special ed, that we were just doing an extended school, summer school.
I will say it is a good number. It's not 5, 10 kids. I mean, it's a significant number of kids that are getting those services, which is good. It's good for those kids and really important for them. So it's, yeah, I don't have the exact number either, but it's not in the single digits for sure. It's up there.
Okay.
It goes through middle school, but it as well.
outside of
Special education.
ESY, do we have a plan? I mean, will there be some type of summer program as well, or?
At the high school, we do, every year, we do credit recovery. So, you know, I think you can look at it like, literally, summer school can be considered in the way that that lingo is. It's like an extended year. It's regular, you wouldn't have to be credit deficient to be summer school. But we do credit recovery, which are those kids. It gives them an opportunity to make up credits that since the 9th grade, maybe 10th grade, 11th grade, to stay on track and catch up.
Okay. Is that paper pencil? Is it digital? Is it?
Little of both. We have a combination, but digital mostly.
Thanks.
We also are looking at options of something beyond extended school year for some of our students who especially are struggling the most or have fallen further behind. So it would be a select group of students that we identified through our benchmarking, and it would also focus certainly on reading and certainly on the lower grades. So looking at 3rd grade, we have the Summer Reading Academy already, but 2nd, 1st, kindergarten, looking at those grades to see if there are students who maybe have fallen further behind than some others that need to continue on and keep that growth going. So we're just looking right now at options. We want it to be, to talk to Mr. Eichelberger, you know, innovative with that, not just another show up and, you know, kind of go through the motions. So we want to do that. So we're in talks with teachers about what that could look like, and then we'll bring that plan or idea to Mr. Eichelberger to see cost and you know, what we can do to try to make those things happen. So.
I had an opportunity to attend the Parents as Teachers webinar last week, kind of an update from Amy Sellers, and I tell you guys, she was, I don't know, was anyone else on there? I mean, she's very excited about what she's doing, and from what I could tell, doing a fantastic job with that. And you know, I don't remember hearing from the classroom a lot, but just seemed with a lot of energy and really excited about what was going on with that program.
That's great.
That's
Good.
very good.
Ruben, how's the pre-enrollment for pre-K and kindergarten?
Steady. We, you know, that I don't have an exact number. We're 5 to 7 already, just in the initial week. It'll just kind of steadily continue to roll in, and sometimes it hits pretty heavy right before our transfer day, because I think everyone then is aware of what's going on. So, so it's steady right now. Maybe even a little bit more initially than we usually have at this point. It usually trickles in as we go. So, but we usually have about 25 in-district pre-Kers, you know, by the initial enrollment. So we're on pace for that. Yeah.
25 inches, yeah, that's a lot. Wow. Mrs. Brink, we find out this week.
Yes, we do.
Exciting. Mr. Turner. Mark, do you have a teacher of the year?
We do. It wasn't official when I had to put that together, but it's Manny Gonzalez.
Oh,
Yeah.
great.
Mark, talk for just a second. About kind of how Manny's been rejuvenated by
Yeah.
his teaching role.
You know, I think most of Manny's career, wherever he was at, wherever he taught, you know, he kind of been utilized in a health role, a PE role, or, you know, what do we need here, what do we need there? But, you know, we had developed a need in math, where we needed more math sections. So, you know, when I first came, we asked Manny to pick up a little bit of a load and take in some math classes. And, you know, last year, you know, we needed a full-time math teacher. So we kind of took away the health books and took away the PE stuff and basically put him in. And it's just been incredible to see. He works really hard at it, but I think he also has kind of found just a new energy and just being rejuvenated with teaching math. And it's been good. So he was very surprised, but he was very thrilled to get that award. And I think our teachers have obviously noticed how hard he's worked with that.
That's great.
Yeah.
How did the professional development day go with, that was on
Virtual,
Zoom,
right, like the first day of
Yeah.
the snowstorm and all that. Worked well.
Those two ladies did a
Absolutely.
great job.
Yeah.
And the administrators, so they, the two ladies did some work, like 2 or 3 hours, and then they had, I don't remember what it was called, but it was time with the principals. So the principals facilitated basically a, let's talk about what you learned type thing. And I think it went really well. Like,
Great. Does anybody have any other questions on that? Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Let's move on to item number 8. Board to consider and take action on a resolution determining the maturities of and setting a date, time, and place for the sale of the $555,000 general obligation building bonds of the school district.
this is the previous bond. It's what we do every year.
Do we have a resolution?
That is,
That is the resolution.
It's March
26th, noon.
oh, it's not in there, right?
It's not.
Yeah, the date's not in there.
Thank you. March 26th, is that what you said? Okay. Thank you, Louis. Yeah, I think we could do that there now.
What time is that, I'm sorry?
Noon.
Move approval
It'll
of
take 5
item.
minutes. I'm sorry, it'll take 5 minutes.
Yeah,
Move approval of item A.
second,
Roll call vote?
Miller,
Yes.
Palmer,
Yes.
Pettit,
yes.
Walton.
Yes.
All right, item number 9, discussion and possible action to approve or not to approve the following contracts and agreements for fiscal year 21. A, American National Red Cross Facility Use Agreement. B, Bethany First Church of the Nazarene Facilities Use Agreement for graduation. C, ECS Southwest LLP proposal for construction materials testing and special inspection services in the amount of no more than $10,459. D, Oklahoma Gas and Electric Company easement agreement in relation to the 2020 bond issue projects. E, the City of Oklahoma City rental agreement for temporary bleachers in the amount of $3,000. F, the Children's Center contract. G, Wallace Engineering agreement for special inspection services in the amount of $19,500. H, Western Governors University student teaching agreement. A lot there. So the Red Cross, we've done this before, that's standard stuff. Yeah, okay.
Well, the portable bleachers.
Yeah, that's what I want to
So-
know. For what?
So, we've always played soccer out at the SNU soccer field. We're not gonna do that anymore, or not this year. And so, we're gonna play on the football practice field. And so, to do that, we wanna have our stands that we have for the homes people, and then we'll have some that that I guess Oklahoma City rents out, the city of Oklahoma City rents out, and they do it on a per game basis, and they're just gonna leave them there unless they need them for between games or something. But it was originally gonna be a wash between what we pay SNU for rent on the field and the deal, but then it turned out that we needed more stands, and so it's gonna cost a little bit more. But I like it a lot better, the way, if you guys have all been out there to the soccer field, so you park out here, you walk in, it's really convoluted about how money's taken right there at the gate. So now we'll be able to take it right there as they come in. I have a great place to park. The parking was hard to do out there at SMU. So I think it's going to be a far better plan. The only chink in our armor is that we didn't get any rye, because we didn't know we were doing this. Would have been good to put rye in there this last winter so that it would have some meat to that
Field.
grass.
Yeah.
So anyway, we'll do that the following year, but I feel confident this is the.
We have locker rooms there, we didn't have SMU concessions, so
It's a good plan.
SNU may want to start using our field.
So these will be these are at the practice, football practice field.
That's right.
the middle school.
The middle school.
middle school, yeah.
Plays now.
Right inside
in
the
the
track.
track.
Middle of the track.
Okay. I guess the question, I mean, how many people do attend those soccer games? That's a big stand out there that we have right now. I'm just curious.
I couldn't tell you that, Kent, but I can tell you that John thinks that we need those other
Away
stands.
bleachers.
So we're gonna,
Yeah.
I feel like if that's.
Socially distance and all that,
Yeah.
all that. Okay.
I think that's a great solution to do that,
Separate the fans, even though we probably wouldn't have a problem.
just in case.
I do have an updated amount. They sent us a new quote today, and it's actually $3,725.
Of course it is. It always goes up and it's never gone down.
You better turn off the camera. John, if you're out there, come see me in the morning. Thank you.
All right. I had a question on the BFC contract for graduation. What's the cost for that? Was it in here and I missed it?
I don't think they've changed the price on that. Is it in that contract?
It is not. Usually in the past, they've provided like a fee schedule for us to have. And I requested that, but apparently it's all new staff at the church. And she just said, we don't do that anymore. You can refer to what you paid last year. So that was it. So
it's not any more than last year?
I assume
We didn't
that.
pay anything.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
It's a great deal.
There's our cost savings
Made it up
right
right
there.
Yeah. So I can tell you.
Is it $1,000?
What we paid.
Yeah, that was always.
I feel like it-
1,500 maybe.
Yeah.
It's not much, but I just didn't want to sign something and not know.
No jail time for the graduation ceremony.
Yeah.
Yeah. And is this, I don't remember ever signing an agreement or with the Western Governors Union University Student Teaching.
Because we never have.
Okay, that's new.
So,
I knew it was.
Cassie Ross is, you guys know Cassie Ross?
Yeah.
Cassie Ross is doing her student teaching in the elementary. And she did all of her undergraduate work at Western Governors. And so they called and said to me, do we need a contract or not? And I said, yeah, I think we do, because we do it with all the others. So we're just doing the same thing with them that we, for one person, that we do with UCO, OU, OSU.
I didn't know if you were starting some new arrangement, but to bring in student teachers from there.
One.
Last year it was $1,206.
1,200, just tack on an extra $6.
Well, they charge like sound technician, video technician, and projector bulb usage is all by the hour.
Oh. Okay, come on, you gotta appreciate that,
I
Les.
do.
It's gonna be really nice this year, guys. If they didn't go up, and we're gonna have really nice seats. That stage is huge.
Awesome.
The lighting, the sound, everything's updated,
good.
so it's gonna be cool.
It's,
And I have one more thing, sorry.
Yes.
On the Children's Center, Exhibit A, and Heather and I talked about it earlier today, and I caught an error. And the number of students is not 86 this year, that was last year, it is 79 this year.
But the numbers are still the same.
The numbers are all the same, and they actually, Matthew and I have had multiple discussions with Nico and the new CFO over there, and even a Zoom session with them, and they had all the supporting documentation that went with this. So they had the back of it that showed 79 students and how it was calculated.
Do we need to amend the motion to reflect that number? Or?
Yes, we do.
Yes.
Okay, so we're amending the city of Oklahoma City, and then we need to amend from 86 to 79?
Yes.
Okay.
the contract for ECS Southwest, that is just for preliminary work for the
Soil
construction out
samples
here.
and-
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
Move approval, item 9, with amendments to item E, increasing the price to $3,725, and also amending item F, the Children's Center contract, to reflect that there are 79 students to which we provide service.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Miller,
Yes.
Palmer,
Yes.
Pettit,
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
All right, item number 10, discussion and possible action to approve or not to approve the following summer events and activities with the use of school transportation. A, football activities as listed on attachment A. B, baseball to participate in the Red Dirt League May through June, with expenses to be paid from the baseball activity fund. C, STEM camps for the weeks of June 8th through 10th and July 6th through 8th from 8:30 to 12 p.m. daily.
Move approval of item 10.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Miller,
Yes.
Palmer,
Yes.
Pettit,
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Item number 11, presentation and discussion of the college remediation and dropout reports.
All right, and you guys have a copy of that, right? Okay. So, we'll start with the dropout report. We had 126 seniors starting the year last year, and 124 actually walked across the stage and graduated. So, we had 2 that did not finish with us. So, any questions or anything on the dropout?
Have we had any contact with those 2 just to see kind of where they're at, what's
A
going on?
lot. You know, we had a lot through the process. You know, I mean, even from the freshman year, there was, like we talked about before, a lot of credit recovery, just a lot of tough times at home. There was actually a death of a parent for one of the students. So it was an uphill challenge the entire way, but about midway through the year, it was even before pandemic. You know, they just kind of gave up. So, yeah. And then if you look at, you know, remember on this college remediation, it's a 3-year lag. So these were freshmen in college in the fall of 2018, our students. So basically what this, you know, if you look down, you know, Bethany, we had 53 students. This only includes public school, public university students like SNU, OBU, any private schools would not even be included in this number if our students went there. But, you know, it just gives the, you know, the state average is at the bottom, the number of students and the percentage. So in science, you know, we did great. We had no students required any remediation in fall of 2018. English, 7.5%, there were 4 of the 53 kids. Math, relatively stayed the same to last year. We had 14 of those 53 had one remediation course in their freshman year. And then reading, we kind of cut that in half from what it was last year. So we were at three of those students at 5.7%.
And Mark, is that only recorded during their freshman year? So if they take it as a sophomore, that doesn't count, it doesn't?
I think it's just freshman.
Just their
year.
freshman
Yeah,
year.
just freshman year, and like I said, it's a 3-year lag.
Uh-huh.
So, these were kids that were, I
Class
was
of
coming in,
2018.
they had already gone out.
Right.
But,
Honors class, right?
Looking at the numbers, I just looked to compare where we were last year.
Uh-huh.
And like I said, reading, we kind of cut that in half. And math, we stayed relatively, consistent with that number and percentage. Right, it's right at that state average, if you look at that.
Thank you, Mark.
You got any questions on that or any other?
Yes. Okay, let's look at item number 12. Discussion and possible action to approve or not to approve the district school calendar for fiscal year '22. So I didn't compare this to this current year. Is there anything substantially different as far as?
The only major difference is we took that PD day that we have traditionally done on President's Day, we moved it to the Monday that we start back to school. We're just trying it out there. We've done that before. In another district, we did it all the time. Teachers, a number of teachers felt like that'd be a good start.
And then you're giving them President's Day off in
Yes.
February.
Graduation on Tuesday.
Yes. Mark, you want to talk about that?
Oh, yeah, that's interesting.
Just have graduation, before, typically kind of the end of the school. And, traditionally, I think that's what, that's kind of what I was used to, and that's traditionally, I think, what a lot of schools do, where as opposed to being at the very end, where it's almost like you lose any accountability measure if, if something goes wrong or, if kids don't behave the way they need to behave.
Now, it's just on a Tuesday. Usually we would have been on the 13th historically, on the Friday before the week.
Right.
Last week.
And we kind of get into that OSSAA calendar
Yeah.
where, that's where that comes in, and you could
Yeah.
still have state tournaments.
Sure.
And what a
Baseball.
horrible decision to have to decide if I want to go play for the soccer state championship or go walk through graduation.
Right.
So it's
Yeah.
kind of,
Yeah.
174 days taught, that's the same as always, I would guess.
Yes, that is.
All right.
I guess we have to
Yes.
move approval out of club.
Second.
Roll call vote?
Miller,
Yes.
Palmer,
Yes.
Pettit,
Yes.
Falstaff.
Yes.
All right, an executive session, which we do.
Motion for executive session.
Second. Roll call vote?
Oh, sorry, Miller,
Yes.
Palmer,
Yes.
Pettit,
Yes.
Falstaff.
Yes.
Remember that, Kelsey?
Have a motion?
Motion to approve items 13A through J, amending item G with Tess McAnally as one of the chaperones.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Marcus?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Palmer?
Yes.
Pettit?
Yes.
Walston?
Yes.
All right, do we have any new business?
We do not.
Board member comments.
Well, as you can see, we approved some contracts this evening, and so I just want to say, share just a few thoughts that, you know, as I told Drew, this has been the most brutal year I can ever remember in education, ever. I mean, so I commend each of you. I know it's been hard. It's been really rough. So we appreciate everything you've done, or personally, I appreciate everything you've done, and I know there are many people that do as well, so thank you. And it feels a little bit like we're over the hump, just a little bit, so.
Anyone else have any comments? It does feel like there is a light at the end of the tunnel and it is not a train. I'm so thankful. All right, superintendent's report.
This past Thursday, February 25th, we were blessed to have the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine administered to all staff members who wanted it. The vaccine or had not already been vaccinated. We had probably 8 or 10 people that qualified for early vaccination. Over 100 staff members were vaccinated on Thursday. We will receive our second round dose right after the week after spring break. Congratulations on our boys basketball team for winning regional consolation side of the bracket on Saturday afternoon. They'll play Thursday night at 8 p.m. in Shawnee. In the area tournament, they will play Anadarko. Congratulations on our principals and administrative staff on being rehired tonight. BPS is blessed with truly outstanding, well, I'd say 4 out of 5 outstanding. So thank you guys for all you do, and you know all the things that we don't know you do, that you do, because you know it's the right thing to do. So thank you. We do. They acknowledge it, I acknowledge it, we appreciate it. And we're not saying nice thing until next year, so take that for what it's worth. Finally, the State Teacher of the Year will be revealed this Thursday, March 4th at 10 a.m. on the State Department's Facebook page. It's no secret our very own Valerie Brink is one of the 12 State Teacher of the Year finalists. I have it on good authority that the other 11 finalists were quaking in their boots at the thought of competing against Ms. Brink. That's a lie. Good luck, Valerie. We all will be there virtually rooting you on. So hopefully you'll have a chance to, it won't take long for them to do that, maybe 30 minutes. But Reuben and I both think that we've got a real shot. The good news is it's great for Bethany. The bad news is we lose her for a year. But it's still good for Bethany. So that concludes my report.
Thank you. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Marcus?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Palmer?
Yes.
Pettit?
Yes.
Walston?
Yes.